So, why is it so difficult to stay committed to things? I wonder about that often. So, it's like commitments are around us everywhere. We typically have to do commitments when we're adults. Like when you sign a lease for a car, that's a commitment. You're engaging in that process. It's a transaction, and you're saying that come hell or high water, I'm going to make those payments. But you get a reward out of it, right? So you get that car, and then that car contains all these other rewards. You get access to different places, you get to travel, you get a nice vehicle. Um, so it's an exchange where there's a reward. Sometimes this exchange is minimized when it comes to our commitments to do things interpersonally for ourselves and in our life. We're not really seeing all the rewards that we'll get out of it. We have this cynical view that's, you know, this is hard, I don't like it. So there's a big difference between interest and commitment in endeavors that we do. When you're interested in something, it sounds really nice. Just like with commitment, it sounds really nice. But when things get hard or difficult, you abandon ship. Well, that's a big problem because, commitment requires an identity change. There's different types of change. There's outcome change, process change, identity change. And you need to change your identity in order to fully commit to something because it means that you have to go through difficult periods in order to follow through with that commitment. So it's not always easy. Now, why is it so difficult for us to engage in commitments and stay motivated to do things? Well, a lot of this is a societal problem where we are surrounded by easy everywhere. Like there's constantly a stream of leisurely activities that we can engage in every day. And leisure is the fruit of someone else's labor, someone else's hard work at our benefit. So we have choices around us that are infinite where the amount of hard work to do things is underemphasized and undervalued. Where dad isn't changing the auto oil in the garage anymore. He's just taking things to Jiffy Lube. Well, what if dad did change the oil frequently and all the time? That would show that he has an intrinsic motivation to do something that he finds hard and he can see the benefits directly. So there's something to be said about doing things that are difficult and committed to them, even when there are options that are easier outside, that are easily available and at our disposal. To choosing harder is an effort that refines our character over time. We're doing something that created difficulty. And what does that do? Gradually refines our character over time. It gives us a sense of fulfillment that it does make a difference whether we're here or not. That after we leave the earth, we will have had some impact on it in some way. And we do that by working and learning skills and developing ourselves and not just choosing leisure at every opportunity. Now, I'm not saying you don't need to rest and relax after a hard day's work. That's important. But rest is something that is restorative. It's restorative to you in some way. It's not something that creates a vegetative state that you can just zombify and be hooked into this behavioral modification reward system that's constantly streaming from one video to the next. You don't even have to use a remote anymore. So there's a big difference between that. Rest is more like taking a walk with your kids or going to the park, throwing football with your dad on the lawn, journaling, meditating, doing some prayer, outside yoga, things like that. They add to your life. Now, if you did work for a really hard day and you stayed motivated all day and you want to sit down and watch some Netflix, that's fine. That's earned leisure. So it's not to be vilified, but it's also important to know that we are surrounded by leisure everywhere. And a lot of times it takes away from our own ability to produce. You don't want to be a consumer of everything. You want to be a producer. And I think this is why it's so difficult for people to commit to things because commitment and motivation, they require you to do things that are hard, that have easier options available to you all the time. So we need to get better at filtering out the bombardment and distractions in our life that take us away from developing ourselves into becoming that person that is refined over time. Hope that helps.